This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Haba, Mafreilich in Chanukah. Chassam Sofer writes that it's brought in Sefer Minhagei Chassam Sofer that on Chanukah one should be mechazik in Limud HaTorah because HaKadosh Baruch Hu taught the Soidos HaTorah to Moshe Rabbeinu on Chanukah. We begin Siman Lev, Lamed Beis. Seder Ksivas Tefillin, the arrangement of writing Tefillin. Here we go. This is a siman that probably for most of us is unlike what we've been doing until now, because until now it affects our practice. You know, how do we accustom ourselves in putting on the tefillin, wrapping, winding, placement, location, and when it comes to writing, you know, we say we'll leave that to the cipher. Do you take American Express? That's our main question. Or only Visa, MasterCard? Those are the main questions people ask regarding Siman Lamed Beis. But it's kedai to be aware of it. And here we go. Siman Lamed Beis. Seder Ksivas Tefillin. Mitzvahs Tefillin. The mitzvah tun sheyichtoiv arba parshios. To write the four subjects. The four parshas of tun shehem kadesh li kol b'char. Parsha number 1 is Kadesh Li Kol B'char. The Mechaber says Ad L'Moyada. However, there's a note here. It should be Ad L'Moyada Miyamim Yamima, because you don't stop in the middle of the pasuk. V'Haya Ki Yiviyacha. These are both in Parshas Bay. Ad Ki B'Choizek Yod Hoitziyanu Hashem Mitzrayim. Uparshas Shema Ad Uvisharecha. Uparshas V'Haya Im Shamaya Ad Al Ha'aretz. Says the Rama, Haga v'tzarch lekasram b'seder hazeh. They need to be written in this order. Lichtov tchila hakodemes b'Torah. To first write the parsha that appears earlier. V'imshina, if you wrote it in a different order, pasal. L'chatchila yichtov shel yad koidem shel roish. The chatchila you should write the shel yad before the shel roish. Now, here's where this makes a very interesting nafkamina. Let's say, here, are you able to hear me? Here is where it makes an interesting nafkamina. L'chachila, you're supposed to write the shel yad before the shel roish. What if somebody ends up, there's a psul in the shel yad, and he has to get a shel yad. So now, okay, he has absolutely no idea when the shel yad was written. All probability it's going to be written after. I guess, but that's by definition, that's not l'chadchila anymore anyway, you know. Okay. Siman Sivkat Anaf, Uparshas Shema. V'tzarch lichtoiv dalid de'echad kol kach gedoyla k'may dalid dalsin ketanim. The dalid of echad should be so big, like 4 small dalids. The Dirshu brings that the way to write it, he quotes the Sefer Lishkas HaSofer in the name of the Bnei Yoina, based on the Zohar, is the bottom of the roof of the Dalid should be equal to the bottom of the roof of the other letters, and the height of the roof should go above the etching. Probably means that the bottom of the roof should be equal to the top of the roof of the other letters. I assume it's a mistake in the Dirshu. But basically the way you write the Dalet is that normally there's sirtut in the parchment, which means that they etch out lines so that it could be written properly. So the top of the Dalet of the Echad goes above the line. Usually the letters don't go above the line, but the Dalet of Echad goes above the line. It could be, we don't measure the dalid that it's the size of 4 dalids of that ksav. Rak kol sheyesh by dalid dalsin katana ma'oid sagi. So long as that you could get 4 small dalids in there, even if it's not in that particular handwriting of that sefer. Bottom line is we don't make it 4 times the size. We just make it bigger than a regular dalid. Okay. Now most people will, maybe once in their life they see the ksav of their tefillin, or okay, lekasvam Now you need to write them in this order. Kol ha-parshias, bein mei shel yad vein shel rosh. It should be written in order, all the parshias. Baseder hazeh. Why does it have to be written in this order? Of Kadesh, V'haya, Shema, V'haya. T'chsiv v'hayu hadvarim v'goymer. B'havayasan you. It should be the way it is, the way it appears in the Torah. V'chol shekain shetzarach lizar mitam zeh. Sheyeh kol parsha gufa nechteves kesidra. Certainly, each parsha itself has to be written in order. You don't write it backward or out of order. You don't want to be missing even one letter. There'll be no way to fix it after, because if you leave out a letter and you have to go back and write it in, it's not going to be kisidra. The Dirshu brings, not only if you're missing a letter, but even if you make a mistake in a letter, where the letter's tsura is not correct, you can't go back and fix it, because again, it has to be written in order. Pasal. If you change that, it's pasal. Hainu hatfillin shenasu me'oisin ha-parshiyos. That is the tefillin made from those parshiyos. But aval ha-parshiyos atzman lo nifsulu. The parshas themselves are not pasal. What does that mean? Kagoin. Im hischol lichtav mi parshas v'haya kiviyacha. Let's say you started writing from the parsha of v'haya kiviyacha. Yuchal etzarf l'zar parshas kadesh mitfilin achirim im yodea b'vadesh shenichtav koidem elu dilav hachi sveik Torah l'chumra. In other words, when we say the tefillin are pasal, tefillin made out of those parshiyos, let's say a mistake was made, or you didn't write it in order, so that parsha is pasal. However, so in other words like this, let's say you wrote Shema after the parsha of V'haya im Shamaya, so that Shema will be pasal. But you could go and find another parsha of Shema that was written before, and use that. And now if you're not sure, we would say Safek L'chumra. Bo'adinim be'es haksiva haya kesidran. The same thing would be if, let's say, at the time of writing it was in order. Rak achar kach nifsal parsha achas hamukdemes, and afterwards an earlier parsha became pasal, and this bata mamela kol parsha shachra. Everything after it becomes batal. Ula inyan serif mi parshas achirim gamkein hadin kanal. In terms of combining parsha, other parshios, then it would have the same din. That if it's written in order, it's okay. If it's out of order, it's not okay. Kaidem, Sivkatan Hey. L'chadchila, you should write the shel yad first. Why? Mishum demukdam b'pasuk. Because it is earlier in the pasuk. V'yesh oimrim lahepach. Some say, no, don't write the shel yad first. Just the opposite. V'nei shel rosh, k'dushas chamur shel yad. So you should write the shel rosh first. So even though the Ramah codifies l'chadchila, the shel yad should be written first, some say the opposite. Our minhag is to follow the Ramah, to write the shel yad first. But the Yeved kol yama ein kapeda. But the Yeved, according to everyone, it's okay. Kasav b'sefer hakavana shel chachila yizar lichtov kol haparsha shel rosh v'shel yad ritzufim v'lo yafsik beineim b'shum dibur klal v'ayin b'shari tshuva. The kavanah writes the chachila. You should be careful to write the parshas straight, without any interruption by speaking, and I am not sure if we do that. Now, the mashmois over here is you should write the shel yad and the shel rosh b'ritzifus, but if you look up the Shari Tshuva, the Dirshu says that he quotes the kavanos that you want to write the four parshas of the shel rosh ritzufim. But that's mash, you're allowed to be mafsik between the shel rosh and the shel yad. He brings from Rav Shlomo Zalman that a sofer, he's writing many pairs of tefillin. So could he knock off, 10 shel yads and then 10 shel roshes? No. Shel yad, shel rosh, shel yad, shel rosh, shel yad, shel rosh. What about a sofer who's not that zahir? but he has a very nice handwriting. Basically like this. A guy who gets tired easily. Let's say a guy who tires easily. Should he push himself to ride straight, or should he rest in between? This way he'll do the job well. So he brings over here, the Lishkas HaSefer says he should take a break, because otherwise, Yikalkel Yoser Mishe Yisakin. Okay, Rabbi Isai, we'll hold it over here. Wishing you all a Freilich and Chanukah. Have a wonderful day. Bracha v'atzlacha. Kol tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.